Okay, y'all, so here I am now outside my house and I'm on my front porch. And I made these little ladies right here. This one has a pumpkin and some other little foliage coming out the top of her head. And this one has sunflowers, and this one has just some other type of foliage coming out there. And I have that little wire basket out there. That's where I leave my mail to be picked up. And the mailman always looks for it, and that's just where I leave it right there for people. Um, he rings the doorbell. I've got a note on my door, and he rings the doorbell, and I set it out. So right there it is. If I'm going to be gone, that's where I leave it. And over here, I have this angel and two more ladies with the leaves and the foliage. This one has a wreath, actually. And I made these out of milk jugs. And then there's my little scarecrow, and there's my little sunflower lady. And I just love this little vignette. I think it's really pretty. Let's go in here into my living room, and I have some things right here on top of this old dresser. And I'm going to zoom in on some of these things because I want to talk about them. These are old family Bibles, and they have my grandmother's old handkerchief on top of them, and I just tied it up with twine because I thought that was really cute. And then I just put my little fall afghan that I made right there with it. And here is a little sewing drawer from a sewing cabinet, an old sewing machine cabinet that I just refinished and repurposed into this little thing to hold these little jars. And right here is all these pumpkins that you see right through here were all Dollar Tree pumpkins that I painted or stained to make them look a little bit more pumpkin-y and a little bit more fit in with my decor. But this book here, I wanted to show you, The Hardy Boys and Minnow Vale. These were books I've had since I was just a young girl. And Minnow Vale, I had actually, somehow that book had gotten away from me, but I found it on Amazon. Now here are some books that belong to my cousin and my mom. Your Home and You was one of her home ec books, and On the Long Road was one of the books that she had from when she was in elementary school learning how to read. And I just thought that was really cool. And I've got my little angel and my little Dollar Tree pumpkin sitting on top of there, and this sweet little mason jar that one of my sweet friends made me two of them, and I've got the other one right over here. These books right here have really no specific sentiment at all because I picked them up at a thrift store just because I liked the looks of them and they were nice and thick, and I could use them for, you know, home decor. Now, this particular bowl was at one time, let me take these pumpkins out so you can see it. This was brown at one time. This little bowl at one time was just a wooden bowl. And I painted it turquoise, put like a whitewash over the top of it, and sanded it and distressed it. And I really love the way it turned out. And I think these little pumpkins just look really cute in here. And of course at Christmas, I'll be putting my Christmas decor in there, or maybe I might just not even use that. I've got another bowl that I use at Christmas time that's silver and gold, so I may use that. And then of course, here's my last little mason jar that my sweet friend made for me. And this always sat on top of my mom's piano, and it says family, the love will always be there. And when we cleaned out my mom's house, I just really didn't want to let it go, so I brought it home with me. And these books back here actually belonged to my dad. So that's my little vignette there. Okay, this is the next vignette that I've got going on. This is my little corner of the world, and I just put my extra stuff over here. And as you can see right here, this has got 3 little birds. It has a little red bird that was given to me by one of my friend's children many years ago, and I've just kept it because I just love that little red bird. I think it's just cute in a little nest. And then my little bluebirds of happiness up there on the side, my big water bottle, and my pumpkins and my little owl. These, I have 3 of these. And these are actually old IV bottles from the doctor's office where I used to work back many, many years ago. And I just always thought they were cool, and so I just kept them. Then, of course, over there in the corner, I've got just a little flower arrangement, and then my little bluebird and little sunflower and my little corner right here. And this sign makes me so happy. It says, "Why fit in when you were born to stand out?" And that's kind of my motto that I live by. That's kind of like my mantra. And I think we were all born to stand out in some way. Okay, so this little vignette sits on top of an old dresser, and I'm trying to get all this in one shot. It's really hard because my back is up against the wall here. But that dresser belonged to my great-grandmother. And that's just something that has always been in the family. It's always been around, and there it is. It really, really needs to be refinished. There's some, some distressed areas and broken pieces on it, but I just haven't done anything to it. I've just kept it right like it is because I kind of like stuff that looks distressed. I always have. Now, I've got this little lantern that was given to me when my mom passed away. And in lieu of flowers, somebody gave us that little lantern, and so I just kept it and I change it out with the different seasons. Along with Trixie's little chew toy down here at the bottom, y'all can see it, right there it is. I've got some more Thanksgiving stuff. I've got my little crows in a basket right there with my little give thanks sign, and then of course my sunflowers over there on the side. And then right across behind the door, I have a wire basket sitting on an old Singer sewing machine stand. This sewing machine with the cabinet was actually given to me by a friend of mine, and the cabinet was just falling apart. And eventually it did just fall apart. And I was able to salvage the drawers out of it, but the cabinet itself was it just fell apart. The veneer all flaked off of it. It just looked terrible. So I ended up donating that to somebody, but I took it off of the stand and kept the stand because eventually I'm going to make a table out of this. Eventually may be a long time coming, but that's what I've got sitting in my foyer for fall. And here's my little wreath on my front door. I made this several years ago out of just scraps that I had laying around. I love to piddle around with stuff like that, so I just made a wreath out of leftovers. Now we're going to finish this off with this little vignette that I've got here on top of my old bookcase. This bookcase actually belonged to my dad, and it held all his books for many, many years, and it was just a dark brown stain because my dad did not believe in painting wood. You never painted wood, never, never. So I decided that I had had enough looking at the dark brown stain, so I just did kind of a pop art type of finish to it. I really just sponge painted it with a bunch of different colors and made it look a little bit more bright and cheerful. And while I was at it, I just went ahead and painted the frame on this picture of this demented bunny rabbit. That's what my daughter and I call this, the demented Easter bunny. She actually made this when she was in 2nd grade, and it was in the Dogwood Arts Festival, which is a big festival here that we have in Knoxville every year, and she won 2nd prize. She got a prize, and right there it is. I'm really proud of that, and she hates that picture, and she wants me to take it down, but I leave it up because I love it. And then there's, of course, there's John Lennon sitting by the typewriter for no reason other than my daughter bought me that. And over here in the corner is Henry. Henry was my dad's name, and when my mom got Alzheimer's, one of her friends bought Henry this bear for her. And Henry was right by her side. She slept with Henry. She put Henry by the side of her bed when she was in the assisted living facility. And when she died, Henry was sitting on top of her dresser. So when I looked over at him when my mom passed away and he was sitting there like, look, I've seen it all. I brought Henry home with me. And so Henry sits right here, and he's just a real happy memory that I have of my mom. And he's got some places where the stuffing's coming out of him, and he just looks a little rough, but he's just got the cutest little expression on his face. And I just decorate around him every year at Christmas and Thanksgiving, and the rest of the year he just sits right here in the corner with my little fake ukulele that my daughter put in my Christmas stocking last year. So that's the tour of my house, and I'm going to end it here with Henry. I hope you all have a happy week. God bless you all. Maranatha, folks. I love you guys.